Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 298. This week we have Ivy League not-so-safe spaces, bailing on Congress, shaking some sense into a U.S. representative, special session details, burning down the House, Black Friday went off with a bang, guess who's hiring, and hunting the Bidens. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my partner in this endeavor, Representative Emeritus Ken Pullen.
Hey, Dave, I like the lead in there. There's some good topics we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a interesting week.
It was very interesting.
I guess the big news in college football is that they're screaming that FSU got the shaft.
Yeah, last weekend or 2 weekends ago, as the broadcast drops, was quite a weekend. Georgia lost, and as all Georgia fans were wanting Georgia to get in top four, I pretty much knew that wasn't going to happen after they got beat. But yeah, FSU went undefeated, didn't get in. There's been a lot of news about that. Even I think you saw the governor of Florida said he would devote $1 million of taxpayer funds to doing some type of investigation into the BCS committee. I thought that was kind of overboard.
You think now? Yeah. Look,
I mean, that was.
The fact is, it's a moving target with the playoff committee.
Yep.
You and I were talking before. Do I think FSU is one of the top four teams in the nation right now, down to their second or third quarterback? No, I don't. Do I think the players earned a spot? Yes. So
I know what you mean.
So is life fair? No, life's not fair. But if they were to line up right now again in the number 4 slot and play Michigan, Michigan would kill them. I mean, it would be an embarrassment. And honestly, when you're talking about these games, is eyeballs or dollars. And when people tune in and it's going to be 28-0 in the first quarter, people just change the channel. They just go to something else.
They do. And look, everybody says a 12-team playoff next year will fix this. Look, they'll still be arguing about who gets in or not. If you know the NCAA basketball tournament every March, people are arguing about should the 64th or 65th team get in. I mean, we're still going to have debates next year. It just won't be at this magnitude, I don't think. If you're undefeated next year, you'll definitely get in the top 12.
I mean, unless you're talking about an undefeated like FBS
Liberty.
team.
Yeah, I think Liberty's undefeated. But it'll be less of like Georgia would automatically get in next year. Even though they lost, you'd have an Ohio State in, FSU would be in. So it will open it up. So that'll be fun to see.
Well, and I think you get more Cinderella stories like you do in the basketball tournament.
Yeah, definitely. You will get
like
a couple more.
You get number 12 sneak in and then run away with the trophy.
Yeah, that would be interesting if it happened.
So you went to the Spalding County GOP meeting.
Yes, I attended a GOP meeting last night for the first time in a while. It was interesting. So I heard a lot. There were 4 things that were brought, and I went because there was a guy speaking there that's running against Congressman Drew Ferguson, and I just wanted to hear what he had to say. His name's Jim Bennett. But paper ballots was high on everybody's mind last night. So everybody's talking about paper ballots. Term limits is big. There's still this disdain for incumbency out there. Nobody likes incumbents at the moment. And this term uniparty came up a lot last night. And even Jim Bennett, who's running against Congressman Ferguson, talked about the uniparty a lot. And I don't disagree with him there. It's pretty much just a big corporate, big spending party in D.C. and really at our state capitol. There's not a lot of difference between Republicans and Democrats in Congress. They just like to spend our money and grow the government. So I just thought it was interesting. I thought, mentioning those 4 topics. But yeah, paper ballots is big. People do not trust these Dominion voting machines. I didn't realize how angry people were and how much they just do not trust the voting process right now still.
They also don't understand history. That stuffing the ballot box was a thing.
It was, yeah. But
I mean, there's a reason it's called stuffing the ballot box. Plus, with paper ballots, all you have to do is lose a few.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, but that's what people just don't trust the machines. That was the common thing. They don't trust Dominion, and they don't trust. And
they trust the people they trust people counting.
I know. I'm not sure paper ballot solves all the issues, but really the theme that people want, this is what they want. They want, when Dave goes in to vote, they want to be able to track Dave back to that paper ballot that he voted on. And I don't think you'll still ever have that because because they can't track nowadays Dave coming in to vote with that paper ballot. There's still a paper ballot that's produced. It's got a QR code on it. And then they're just doing a sampling to do like an audit on the votes. People want you to literally go in with a pen or with a pencil or a pen now and check, who you want or push something.
They don't remember 2000 with hanging chads.
I know. I think there'll still be issues. Hey, look, I'm just relating what I heard.
I get it. I'm just saying that you have to take stuff like that with a historical perspective.
Yes.
Is you want to go back in time. And we had paper ballots in Florida, and we didn't have a decision for a month.
Yep. No, I voted, and all honesty, I voted on the Dominion machines in 2019. I think if I knew now I knew then what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have voted yes on that bill. And Scott Turner, one of my colleagues back in the House, I think he was the only Republican that voted no on that. And I think Scott likes to tell people that now, but I think that's probably the right vote at this point in time. I don't know if I would still vote for the Dominion machines with some of the stuff that's come out.
Well, you use the best information available at the time.
Yep. And I'm going to another meeting. It'll be 2 days on Saturday. Going to another meeting this weekend, a political meeting or Republican Party meeting. So I'm going to be interested to see what kind of the temperature everybody has at that meeting. Is it again going to be a big paper ballot type thing? And what are people talking about? This will be a larger type gathering. So I'll have to report back on that next week. Nice.
So Ivy League school presidents failed to condemn anti-Semitism. This was at a hearing in Congress.
It was. And this, I think this went across all party lines this week. I think I saw people on all ends of the spectrum really mad at these Ivy League presidents. And it was the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania. And really what I think everybody saw this interview on some form of social media this week, but they just asked these presidents whether calling for the genocide of Jews violates their respective schools' code of conduct on bullying and harassment. And all three of them said it did not violate their respective schools' code of conduct unless it went towards their conduct. So just saying it was not a problem unless saying it turned into some kind of conduct on their behalf. I can't believe they wouldn't come out hard against this, but they didn't.
Yeah, outright condemn it.
Yeah, none of them outright condemn this. And what people were saying after fact, they said, well, what if, and this was a question that was asked to the representatives. They said, what if people came on and advocated for the genocide of blacks, for example? Would you say that broke your school's code of conduct? And we all know what that answer is, but they would not, and rightly so. I mean, if you call for any genocide of a group of people, you should immediately be thrown out of school and all that good stuff, right? And all these universities, like one of the Congress lady, there were people not let into Harvard because they shared a meme online a couple of years ago. And that's what she brought up. She said, you haven't let people into Harvard because they shared a meme online that you disagree with, but you won't call out the genocide of Jews and say that it goes against your code of conduct. It's just amazing.
Yeah, they have no backbone. What they're doing is they're bowing to a very loud, well, but a very loud, very small minority.
Yeah, very, very small. Yeah, and
I mean, if you take the temperature of the country as a whole, you realize that these people are very loud, very obnoxious, and very small.
Yep. And even the White House condemned this. I'm going to give Karine Jean-Pierre some credit here. She said that the calls of genocide at universities were unacceptable. A private equity billionaire, Mark Rowan, I don't know if anybody knows who that is. He wrote a message to the Penn trustees saying he was going to withhold money. And as this episode is recording, it looks like the Penn president is going to be asked to resign on Friday. So it looks like she may be gone from her job. Good riddance. I hope they get rid of the other two presidents, because this was the easiest question in the world to answer. Yes, it is against our code of conduct, and we will not put up with it.
Right. This is not just protesting the war,
No.
which of course you have a right to do.
Yes.
And we have a rich history of students protesting war.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's another thing to say, even with vague things like from the river to the sea. Okay, that's vague, but yeah, that's calling for genocide.
It is 100%.
But when they outright say kill every Jew, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to say that's a violation. Do you have a right to say it? Sure. Do you have a right to stay at Harvard? No.
Yep, exactly. I totally agree. This story blew up this week. I think it was last Wednesday, and it was everywhere on the news. And again, I hope these 3 university presidents crawled in a hole somewhere, because and if you watch the reaction of them when they were answering the questions too, they were very smug. Even one of the ladies kind of grinned at one of the questions. I've never seen anything like it. It just was almost pure evil watching this and watching these people. I think it was arrogance. How dare you question me? It was a lot of arrogance too. You could see that. You really could.
How dare you question me? I've got a doctorate from Harvard.
Yeah, it was one of the worst things I've seen in Congress. One of the worst performances by anybody testifying. I can't believe they wouldn't call it out. Or
show a little humility.
Yes.
Show a little humility. None of it. Of course, I'd probably be just as smug if I was asked to testify before Congress. But why did you? None of your business.
Right.
And that's why I would get a contempt of Congress.
Yep.
And of course, my answer would be, you have no idea the contempt I have for Congress.
Yep.
So yeah, that was bad. It was a bad showing.
It was terrible.
But we do have people popping smoke.
Wow.
Which means that they're leaving Congress.
Gee, I didn't see this coming. Well, I sort of did see Kevin McCarthy. So we had 2 big people announce they're leaving Congress. Kevin McCarthy, who was a former speaker, he's elected back in 2006, who represents a district in California. He said he was leaving actually at the end of the year, Dave. So he's gone at the end of the year, and there's going to be a special election in California to fill his seat in March. And then a former temporary speaker, Patrick McHenry, said he was going to serve throughout his term, but he was not going to run again.
I'm kind of surprised that McCarthy's not going to finish out his term.
I know. I don't like he should have to pay for that special election. I'm not a big fan of people retiring in the middle of their service to the people.
Yeah, this is not Isaacson. This is not a health thing.
No, it's not. He's
fed up with it. I'm going home.
Yep, I'm fed up. I'm going home. And he'd been in since 2006, like I said, so 17 years. Patrick McHenry has been in since 2004, so he's actually going to serve 20 years in Congress, which goes towards my term limits earlier. I mean, these people have been in 18 to 20 years. It's time to go home. I mean, how long should you serve in Congress? And that's why it is so bad, because these guys just get used to Washington, D.C. They're probably living in Washington, D.C. I'm sure Kevin McCarthy lives in D.C. and doesn't fly back home to Washington or California every week. Look, you cannot serve 20 years. Good riddance.
Yeah, it does kind of put Republicans in a pickle.
Oh, it does, yeah. I think they've got a 1-seat majority now when McCarthy leaves. So it's very, very tight, and which gives even more credence to people like Matt Gaetz at this point. And I love Thomas Massey, but those people actually have a little bit of power at this point to derail legislation that they don't like.
Well, what's going to happen is it's just going to get locked down. 2024, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be an election year. You're going to see a bunch of resolutions drop that don't get picked up. You see a bunch of pieces of legislation drop that won't get picked up, so that these reps can go back to their districts and go, look what I'm trying to do for you. Give me another 2 years so I can get it done.
I did. I forget what website I got this off of, but the quote on the website, I think it's CNN or MSNBC, it said, despite this is talking about Patrick McHenry, it said, despite his solidly conservative positions and voting records, McHenry is seen on Capitol Hill as a pragmatist and widely respected in both parties. If you go look at his voting record, he has like a 54 from the Liberty Institute. I mean, this guy's nowhere. He has no solid conservative voting record. He's just a moderate Republican, middle of the road. Yeah, he's like a typical Republican up there, right? It's not conservative in the least bit.
Well, that's the thing is we start counting R's and D's,
right?
And and they're on spectrums.
Yep.
Not all the D's are with the squad.
Nope.
and not all the R's going to be with gets.
But I think the longer you stay in D.C., the more you go from the wings of the party sometimes to the middle. And the middle, and it goes to the uniparty, right? It was just what people were talking about last night. It's just one big party that wants to spend taxpayer money. I mean, that's what most people in Congress want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, as they all want to bring money home to their districts.
Yep. And, we passed, I don't know if you saw, but the deficit passed this week, $100,000 per person. Because I think it passed 33 or $34 trillion in debt. So every person, not every taxpayer, but every person in the U.S. right now has a $100,000 debt tag hanging around them.
Yeah, and what's the median income? 60?
Yeah, 60. Yep.
Something like that?
At some point, they either got to get this under control, the spending, or it's going to get them under control, right? We're going to have some type of event that just, rocks the United States and then rocks the global economy. I don't want that to happen, but you cannot keep spending the type of money we are and not expect something to happen.
Right. Well, you got Venezuela about to pop off.
Yep.
We've got 2 wars we're supporting. You got Ukraine, you've got Israel, and then you've got China threatening. And trust me, the Venezuelans are in with China.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, how bad do you have to be managing money and have that many natural resources in Venezuela, and then go, we need to take theirs?
I know, exactly.
But it's very interesting, and it is a good study for term limits. Mm-hmm. And people hate Congress, but they tend to like the congressperson.
That is true. It's tough to beat an incumbent. We all know that. It's very difficult.
It's very expensive.
Even if they like him or not, they just tend to vote incumbent. So, yeah. I mean, that's this guy last night that spoke. I mean, he's got no chance against Congressman Ferguson. But I mean, he's out there trying hard, and he's going to pay his $4,000 or $5,000 to run. But it's almost impossible to beat a congressman unless you can raise a couple $1 million and they get caught doing something wrong. Yeah.
Hey, well, yeah, a couple $1 million, and you still have to play for them to make a mistake.
Yes, right.
And in any sort of sport, that's a bad strategy.
Yep, exactly.
As I'll be fine as long as he screws up. So, Rich McCormick and MTG. So we're going to throw down.
Yeah, so reports came out that Rich McCormick laid his hands on Marjorie Taylor Greene. It sounded like when they were so what the backstory on this is, if you remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene put a resolution out there censoring Rashida Tlaib, the Democrat Congress lady out of Michigan. And then Rich McCormick put his own version out that was actually passed. So it sounds like Rich, I don't know what happened here, but they had some kind of physical altercation with MTG, and she went to leadership about it.
From what I understand from seeing interviews with him, is he grabbed her by the back of the shoulders and shook her, and he was being funny, and jerked her around a little too much. And he something that I learned as a boy, you don't roughhouse with girls like you do with boys.
Right.
Had I grabbed you like that, it'd be fine. From what he says happened.
Yes, but look, you can't do that in
but
any elected capacity. You can't come behind a lady or anybody really and grab their shoulders and shake them. I mean, Rich McCormick should have known better than to do that.
Oh, you do it to your buddies.
You could, but not your buddy that you're probably... Yeah, you can. But
yeah, you do it to your buddies.
But if one of my buddies introduced if I introduced a resolution and one of my other buddies introduced it, there'd probably be some hard feelings already. So I'm not sure if coming up, shaking them from behind would be the right thing to do at that point. Maybe have a discussion on it, but yeah, this is, I don't know.
Very poor decision making.
It is. It's very poor decision making.
And don't lay your hands on people.
Yes.
Like I said, if it's your buddy, or if you and I had competing resolutions and I walked up behind you and pat you on the back and say, look, I had no hard feelings.
Yep, exactly.
Something like that, fine. And had he done that to Green, they probably been fine. He just pat her on the back and say, look, no hard feelings. There were a couple things in your resolution that just were not going to happen. I felt that this resolution gave us the best opportunity to publicly discipline Talib.
That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, is handle things like an adult. And I don't think he was meaning to attack her. I just think it's inappropriate, and that's just not something you do in Congress or not. You just don't grab a woman from behind and start shaking her.
Yep, exactly.
Hell, I wouldn't do that to my wife, and I'm allowed to lay my hands on her.
Might get a black eye.
At least. That woman cleaned my clock, buddy. Yeah, it's just he made a statement, but he says that they've spoken since and everything's fine and everybody's happy and and all that stuff. I don't know, man. It's just I don't think it was malicious.
I don't know either. It's just people are
just stupid.
It is,
and we all do stupid stuff.
Right? I mean, it's an emotional type topic, and MTG probably didn't like when he introduced the resolution, and she sure didn't like him doing this. So, yep,
right. So Republicans win big in the special session.
I know this was this kind of came out of nowhere too. So the only reason Republicans or the General Assembly in Georgia had a special session is because the Democrats filed a lawsuit against the maps that were drawn last year. So there were a couple things in special session, and it only lasted a week. They sine died last Thursday. I saw that, so I don't think there were any papers thrown either. But there were a couple issues. There were a couple things that came out of this. So the Republicans forced Democrats to take a position on that proposed Atlanta police and firefighter training complex. So Democrats had to take a position on that, probably the wrong position, because they said they were against it, which I think most people out there, most normal voters are for that training complex. Then I think this was a little overdone, but Governor Kemp announced last Monday that he was going to accelerate the largest income tax, or he's going to accelerate the tax cuts. They're going to drop the rate from 5.49 down another 10 basis points to 5.39. If you make $100,000, that's going to save you $100 a year. Median income in Georgia is $50,000 a day, so that's going to save people $50 a year. And they acted like the second coming of Jesus during this meeting. I thought it was a little overplayed. But then they also had a couple of resolutions supporting Israel, and the Democrats pitched a fit on that. So Democrats just looked really, really stupid this week by opposing the Atlanta Police and Firefighter Training Complex, opposing this resolution supporting Israel, and then Governor Kemp came out with this additional tax cut. So it was a good week for Republicans in the State House and Senate. And
they get to roll right into an election year with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And those issues are settled. You don't have to bring it up in the session coming up. It's settled.
It's settled. Yep. There's no need to come up with that. Yeah, I mean, I love that. Look, I always want to save money. I love the tax cut. It's good, but 5.49 to 5.39, you're hardly going to notice that next year. Georgia's got a $16 billion rainy day fund. It used to be $3 billion when I was in office, so it's gone from $3 billion in 2019 to $16 billion nowadays.
Yeah, but it's worth the same.
Yeah, I mean, why not go from 5.49 down to 5, right? Let's make a little more substantial. You only get this opportunity every once in a while to drop the income tax rate. It would have been nice to drop it a little bit quicker than what the governor's proposing. But good for him to knock it down a little bit more. It just would have been better to knock it down another 100 basis points or 50 basis points.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a $16 billion reserve.
I know, right.
And I would guess the political reason for slowly lowering it is, one, to get the win, leave more wins on the table.
Yes.
Also, it avoids having to raise taxes should the recession really hit.
I think that's a good point, because you don't know if we're going to have some type of down economy over the next couple of years. So you do it slow to make sure you don't, like you said, have to end up raising taxes at a certain point.
And that's suicide.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's political suicide. That the minute Republicans raise taxes, and if we use the $50 a year,
yep,
something like that, it's even if it's $50 a year, it doesn't matter. The minute they raise taxes a fraction of a percent, they're done. Every incumbent's gone.
Yeah, this is helping Governor Kemp as he rolls into. He's going to run for Senate probably in 2026. I mean, that election cycle will start early 2025, so he's only 16 months away from really announcing he's going to run for Senate if he does. So he continues to be able to drip out this type of stuff, which will just help his chances of being elected senator if he chooses to run even more. So it's very smart political. I mean, it's very smart on his part to do this.
Yeah, it's his political acuity is very high on this because he's been able to stand up, and during the pandemic, he suspended gas taxes.
Yep.
When we ran a surplus, continued to push for lower taxes.
Yep.
I mean,
teacher raises, there's a lot of stuff here. He's going to be able to
the commercials write themselves.
Yep, they really do.
You will never buy off teachers, but when citizens hear, because that's the first, our teachers don't get paid enough, blah, blah, blah. But when he says, I raised teacher pay, he's not buying off teachers. He's creating that narrative when he runs for Senate is stood up for education, stood up for our educators, lowered taxes.
Yep. I agree.
So, to steal something from the talking heads, burning down the house. A woman tries to burn down the MLK's birth home.
I know. Did you see this? This happened last Thursday night, but there were two tourists from Utah that had decided to stop by the MLK birth home, and they saw this lady pouring gas on the home, and they start filming it. Right? They don't actually ask her what she's doing, so they instantly start filming. But then she goes back over to her bag and gets a lighter out, and when she got the lighter out, they're like, okay, we've got to intervene at this point. So these two Utah tourists walked up, and there were also two off-duty New York City police officers nearby, and they ended up being able to hold this lady down until the Atlanta Police Department got over there. But she was trying to burn Martin Luther King's birth home down, and it was like in middle of the afternoon, 5:45 p.m. on that Thursday afternoon.
And these are all tourists.
Yeah, all tourists. Yep.
These are all tourists who stop her.
Yes,
these are citizens that were willing to stand up and go, whoa, whoa, whoa.
I know.
Right. No, you're not going to do that. Yep. And thank God for the two NYPD officers that were. I have no idea why you'd come to Atlanta on vacation, but vacationing here, and stepped in and stopped it.
I know. And that lady, she was a 26-year-old Lanisha Chantrice Henderson is her name. She's a military veteran. Her dad says she'd been missing for a couple of days and has mental illness. It sounds like there's some mental illness going on in this case, but thank goodness they intervened in this.
I was so worried when I first saw the story that it was some group of white guys that were trying to burn down MLK's house. Not that it makes it any better or worse.
Right. It's
just that would trigger the narrative.
Yes, that would have been a bad narrative. Yep.
Then we'd be looking at everything but the MLK house burning.
Right.
She is apparently a military vet, has a mental illness. She was taken for a mental evaluation before being booked in jail. Now, what that evaluation entails, I have no idea. Obviously, it's not an in-depth, what's going on with her. I think it's just is she a danger to herself?
Yep.
Before taking her to the jail. That was one more thing on Fannie Willis's plate.
I know. She's in the Fulton County Jail. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. It would be interesting to find out in her whacked out mind what she was doing, what statement she was making.
Yeah,
because you don't pick that. That house wasn't being picked on random.
Yeah, right.
I mean, she knew exactly where she was going. She planned. She bought a gas can. I mean, who rides around with a gas can in their car?
I know.
Yeah, I mean, she probably would have lit herself on fire too. I mean, quite accidentally, because the way she was, I saw the video, the way she was splashing the gasoline around. I mean, had to get some on her.
Had gas on herself too. Yep.
Yeah, so maybe she was planning on committing suicide, and I have no idea, idea what her grandiose plan was, and nobody does until they actually get her in a room with a shrink and start peeling back the layers of messed up stuff in her head.
Yep. Hopefully they can get to the bottom of this and get her some mental help if she needs it. Obviously, it sounds like she needs it, but hopefully she can get some mental help.
She needs inpatient care. If she's that far gone, she's inpatient care. This is not a go see a therapist twice a week.
Right.
So gun sales hit record high on Black Friday.
I know. Did you see these numbers? Wow. They hit a new record, national gun sales, the day after Thanksgiving. It sounds like the National Background Check System processed 214,000 almost 215,000 background checks on Black Friday.
And I realize not everything goes through NICS.
Right. That's 11% bump too from last year. So 11% more people.
When I buy a gun, it doesn't go through NICS.
Because you've got
I've got a concealed weapons license. Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't get background checked, and you got to think that I won't say the majority, but a huge population just in Georgia carry. The only reason we have a weapons license is reciprocity and not having to wait 3 days for a NICS check to come back. Because if I do it, because my name is very common, David Roberts, I'm getting a 3-day hold.
Yep.
There's just so many of us.
I was going to say, well, I thought it was very interesting. This day ranks third on their top 10 highest days. And you know what the 2 days that were higher than on Black Friday this year?
What's that?
There were the 2 days in March 2021 that were just after the COVID lockdowns were declared. So the two highest days from a background check perspective is after the COVID lockdowns back in 2021. I did not realize that many people rushed out to buy firearms at that point.
There are also a bunch of good deals that were out on Black Friday.
Yeah.
And with gun prices inching up, there's so many guns in the market right now that the prices aren't going to get out of control again, I don't think. But I know ammo sold like crazy when Israel popped off.
Yeah, they said that's a big thing that people are giving to family members and other people this Christmas. Is ammo is a gift that is very popular this year.
Ammo, reloading equipment.
Yep.
It's just stuff you can't lay your hands on.
No, I know.
And look, guns are a great gift for Christmas.
Mm-hmm, they are.
So if everybody's wondering, I'm a 300 blackout in AR-15s. Actually, I got my 300 blackout stuff. But yeah, it's very interesting that we take Black Friday and celebrate freedom.
Yep, exactly.
And traditionally a day that people get in fistfights.
And I wonder, I'd love to see the statistics on those background checks. How many were man versus female, right? Were 70% men out shopping and going through the NICS background check, or was there a pretty large majority of women out there? And I'd also like to see it broken down by racial groups to see if, white versus black versus whoever, like what was the percentage? Maybe we need to look into that a little bit more, but I'd love to see who was actually buying all these guns on Black Friday.
Right. I mean, there was a huge influx in minority gun ownership during the lockdowns.
Yeah, right.
And during the riots. There was a huge uptick, and there were even at the gun club where I frequent, there were black specialty instructors that were taking people who've never owned guns before and taking them in the range and teaching them how to use them and all that stuff. And I thought that was great. Yep. The more an armed society is a polite society.
Yep. And
the more responsible gun owners we have, the better off we are. It also makes it a whole hell of a lot more difficult for the government to take them because they have no idea. I mean, you're talking about 250,000 just in one day.
I know, that's crazy.
And we have no idea how many, and those may have been multiple gun purchases.
Yeah, they say we're on a clip, and this is 4 years running, where there's been over 1 million per month bought for the last 4 years. So 12 million a year times 4 years. So 48 million guns have been bought over the last 4 years, at least. That's over 1 million per month. And that's just going through this background, NICS background check. So you got to figure that $1 million is kind of low.
Oh yeah. It's me $1.5 million. Yep. Like I said,
per month. It's just huge.
Yeah. That doesn't include just the 4473. That's all you have to. All you and I have to do is throw your ID down and fill out a 4473. 20 minutes later, walk out with your gun.
Yep, exactly.
All this is just filed paperwork. The only way to actually have an idea of how much would be to audit every FFL in the country and start counting up the individual guns that were sold on every 4473, and that task would be almost impossible.
Yeah, right.
So you're looking for a job? Apparently the government's hiring.
Where are all these government jobs coming from? So the payroll numbers came out last Friday. So this was a big number that the Fed's looking at to see if their increasing interest rate policies are working or not. seeing if inflation is going down. But the number of jobs were adjusted to almost 200,000, 199,000 jobs in November. But what was interesting about this is healthcare was the biggest growth. So out of those 199,000, 77,000 were in healthcare, but government added 49,000 jobs in November. So 25% of the jobs added in November were in government. And 49,000, that's like 1,000 jobs per state. If you just if you just did the math, I mean, it's obviously not equal like that across states, but who is hiring all these government employees?
You know, when the government shuts down, they say non-essential employees stay home. The question is always, why does the government have non-essential employees?
Right. Yeah. I don't know and it'd be interesting to see how this government employees breaks down. Is it local, state, or federal? But boy, that's a huge number to be hired in November. Most companies are starting to slow down towards the end of the year in hiring. Not the government. I mean, they're full speed ahead.
Well, you got to remember that government runs October to October.
Mm-hmm. So I guess this is the beginning of what you're
This
saying.
is the beginning of their year. So they just got their new budget numbers and their new acquisition numbers and all that stuff. So yeah, the federal government is what we consider fourth quarter is their first quarter.
Yep.
So that could have something to do with it. But yeah, it's somewhat disturbing that 25% of the new jobs created in November were government.
Yep.
Yes. And do I know if it's working in the city clerk's office or if it's an IRS agent? We have no idea.
No, we don't.
I mean, I'm sure those numbers are available to us. I mean, I'm sure we could go through department by department. But again, that task is so enormous that it's just the information would be interesting to have. I just don't know anybody that's going to put that sort of time into
no, not us anyway.
into researching it.
Not with day jobs.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions and not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over at thegeorgiavirtue.com. The mule is mine. John Kerry says, no new coal-fired electrical plants.
Wow. So we're getting rid of coal-fired electrical plants at this point.
Anywhere in the world.
Besides this policy just being idiotic, why is John Kerry still telling anybody what to do? When is this guy going away?
He's a special presidential envoy for climate.
Yeah. That flies around the world in a private jet.
Right. It was a 2023 United Nations Climate Change Conference. Now, there's nothing he says is binding. Nothing they come up with is binding. You can't tell a developing nation that can't burn coal. Right. I mean, electricity is now in any sort of modern society is absolutely necessary. Yep. So if you want to take a dirt poor nation, anywhere in the world, and modernize it, you have to have electricity, and you're not getting it from solar and wind. Mm-hmm. We haven't perfected the renewables yet. The energy it takes to create solar doesn't equate what solar actually gives you.
Yep.
And the only way you get solar on your house to actually work is a bunch of rebates from the federal government, a bunch of tax credits. That's the only way to make it viable. And most solar stuff is just a payoff to China. John but my note Kerry. On there, yeah, he's out there looking like Eric Stoltz from Mask.
I know he is.
He looks awful.
He does.
I mean, it's time to back away from the Botox, brother. Glenn Beck did a thing back when he was running for office, when Kerry was running for president, called Project Longface. He had a giant float that had a moving mouth on it, and they would start playing John Kerry quotes. And he called it Project Longface. Glenn Beck used to be funny before he lost his mind.
I still listen to Glenn Beck every once in a while. He seems like he's sort of got it back now.
Is he back on level?
Yeah, I think he is.
Now look, paranoia will do that to you. And look, he was justifiably paranoid. I mean, he had death threats and all that stuff. And
right.
I think one day when he had this Fox program, he was attempting to print out the medical or the Obama bill, And he put the printer on and ran it for the entire hour and couldn't get all the pages through. So I have the noose is tightening, but do you think the noose is tightening around Hunter Biden?
So I think what you're trying to point out is this a ruse to keep Hunter from testifying before Congress, or are the government really going after Hunter and they actually are these charges legit? And backstory on this is this last week he was indicted on 9 tax charges in California as part of a special investigation into investigation to the business dealings of President Joe Biden's son Hunter, going into 2024 election. So, I mean, this is 9 new charges in California by a special counsel.
This is on top of his gun charge in Delaware.
Yes, right. This was 3 felonies and 6 misdemeanors. So this is not just misdemeanors, it's 3 felonies also. And this is on top of all those Delaware charges.
Now, look, this information was available to us a year ago, and it was shut down. Mm-hmm. And it's not till we had I think it was IRS whistleblowers go before Congress that all of a sudden Garland's Justice Department decides that we're going to look into this. Yep. Now, yeah, my question really is, now he can't testify before Congress. I mean, they can call him in, but he's going to take the fifth. He has active investigations. Plus, the DOJ has said it is continuing to be an open investigation, which means there's no Freedom of Information Act on it.
Yep.
So,
and the thing is, this is tax charges, right? So they said he had the means. So Hunter obviously didn't pay his taxes from 2016 to 20, but they said he chose to spend his money elsewhere. And the funny thing is, he spent $683,000 in payments to various women, almost $400,000 on clothing and accessories, and $189,000 on adult entertainment. And he also spent $27,000 in payments to an online pornography website. Jeez, this guy's got a problem.
Who pays for porn?
Hunter Biden, obviously.
All dude is at a party. Like the numbers are staggering.
Right.
But what this does is it starts to highlight where did he get this money?
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing is
you know where he's getting it. I mean, he's getting it from Ukraine and China. I think is where it's coming from.
I think the number was like $6 million from China.
Yep, that's where it's coming from.
And is this a precursor and could be used as evidence in an impeachment?
Yeah, we'll see.
Because really, this all ties back to the conversations that he had on Snapchat and all that stuff. Or no, it was on what's the app that you use out of the country? WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Yep.
That I've got him right here. Do you want me to put him on the phone? I'm waiting for the payment. I'm like, that's brazen.
It's like I got the big man beside me. You want to talk to him?
And then the next day, or whatever it is, the next day or two, money comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a relatively short period of time, of 5 years, whatever it was, on hookers. And
he was getting paid $1 million a year from that Ukrainian gas company that he set on the board of Burisma. I mean, that's $1 million a year for never, understanding anything about Burisma. It was just for influence.
I mean, I think he's technically an attorney.
Yeah, he is an attorney. Yep.
But he does better than most attorneys.
He does.
But as an attorney, how do you believe that this is okay? I mean, I understand you're a cokehead.
Yep.
But this could have been addressed very easily. Like, pay your back taxes, file your stuff, say you're sorry. But the point of saying is he had the money.
Yeah, he just spent it on other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not picking on somebody who's poor.
Yep. How do you spend $400,000 on clothing and accessories?
In that period of time.
Yeah, I work at home. I hardly spend $397 a year on clothing and accessories.
That wouldn't help you much anyway. But yeah, clothing and accessories. Does that mean buying jewelry? Accessories could be jewelry.
Yeah, it could be. It could be handbags.
I mean,
it could be anything.
Yeah, well, stuff he's buying the girls, or when you wear $10,000 suits.
Yep.
The pictures you see of him. I mean, he's wearing $10,000 custom made suits. Mm-hmm. He's not buying off the rack at Men's Warehouse.
No.
And look, those numbers wouldn't bother me if Joe Biden wasn't the one who looked directly in the camera and said, "It's time for you to pay your fair share."
I know, and Biden, I mean, it's just, it's all crooked, right? And there's money moving around all over the place. Biden has spent his years in the Senate making, what's the Senate make, $180,000, $200,000 a year?
Something like that, yeah.
And he's got tons of money now. So it's just shuffling the deck chairs around with money.
I heard a theory that everybody knew Joe was dirty. Obama knew Joe was dirty. And Obama kept it under control as not to affect him.
Right.
Because he knew, being the first black president, if that sort of corruption came on him, it would be bad. So he kept Joe under wraps. It's one of the reasons that Obama didn't endorse him in 16. Mm-hmm. Was he knew Joe was dirty and wanted Joe out of the way. Obama to this day isn't Joe's biggest fan. Yep. Like, he tolerates him because you kind of have to, and you have a public face out there. But Obama didn't pick Biden because he likes him. He picked Biden because he needed somebody with national experience.
Yeah, he did.
And we see this with running mates all the time. Johnson and Kennedy didn't like each other. We see that all the time. As Johnson came onto the Kennedy ticket because Kennedy was a Yankee with a New England accent, and he needed Johnson to deliver the South. That's the only reason he brought Johnson in, was to deliver the South. And we see that with running mates. And Obama coming out of state politics and all that stuff, community organizer, he needed somebody with political gravitas, and that's why he brought Biden in. But he never trusted Biden the further he could throw him.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not praising Obama. I'm just saying that Biden was kept under wraps and with very few responsibilities, and just go over there, sit at the Naval Observatory, and don't touch anything. Mm-hmm. Come over, smile when I tell you to smile, then go back to the observatory and sit there. So everybody's known for decades that Biden's crooked, but knowing it and proving it are two different things, and actually having a DOJ looking into it. But it's just curious to me that it's coming right into, as we're going to 24. Is this an attempt by the Democrats to force Joe out, or is this an opportunity to cover Joe because now Hunter can't testify?
And it could be to cover him. I mean, it really could, because if he can't testify, then Congress is at a loss at that point.
Yeah, so you go to their wacky logic is Joe wins in 24. The second week of November, he pardons Hunter for everything, and he rolls into his next term.
Mm-hmm. Could be
because Joe has no other race to run. I mean, this is it. If he even makes it, that far, this is it. There is no sun up for Joe tomorrow. This is it. This is his swan game. So him pardoning his son is not going to hurt him. I mean, it's not like what he's going to lose re-election. No. And if he loses, same thing. He pardons Biden or pardons Hunter on his way out. Either way, Hunter Biden never sees the inside of a jail cell.
No chance. He's not going to jail.
Yeah, it wouldn't even go to trial before November of next year. I mean, you could do a bunch of delay actions, file a bunch of motions, and go through discovery for the next 12 months, and poof, we're at the end of the election season. Biden can sign off on it, and Hunter will go back to whatever it is that Hunter does. Peddling influence, I guess.
That is true.
I mean, that's really all he's done. Besides, coke and hookers. Who documents their stuff with coke and hookers? I mean, who?
No clue.
Like, who turns the camera on, and who gets an argument with a hooker over whether a crack rock weighs this much or that much, and has it on camera? Who does this?
Probably more people than you're aware of.
Well, it's also arrogance. Do you know who I am?
Yeah, I know. That's what it
Like they're not coming after me. My father's the vice president. They're not coming after me. My father's the president. You know, everything from down to knocking up a stripper and denying it. Can't deny DNA, sucker. They're just an awful family.
It is. It's it's a terrible family. Hopefully they'll be gone next November.
God willing, and just go away.
Yes, please go away.
Yeah, Motley Crue. Don't go away mad. Just go away. All right, Kenny, what you got for closing thoughts?
Well, I think I told you earlier, I'm taking, as this show drops, Luke and I will be going to Spain next week for a week. Little guy's trip, so he's looking forward to that. And we'll be in Madrid for a few days and Barcelona for a few days. So looking forward to going across the pond, spending a little time eating tapas and maybe having some sangria.
Oh, you'll pound sangria by just a pitcher full. It goes down like a fat kid on a seesaw.
Nice.
No, I love Spain. In fact, when we were talking before, I recommended some of the restaurants that we love in Madrid. I know it's such a privileged conversation that we have. Like, oh, hold on a second, I know these are the restaurants that I like. You know, across the pond. Such a entitled prick thing to say, isn't it?
I know, across the pond. That is bad.
I mean, look. Travel truly expands your horizons, and then you're doing the best you can for your boys to expose them to as many cultures as possible. And even within Spain, you're going to visit two distinctly different cultures, being in the north in Barcelona and Spain and Madrid and central Spain.
Yeah, I heard they're a lot different.
And if you went further south to Malaga, you'd find a different culture down there, which is more beachy and different foods and stuff like that. But it's I absolutely love Spain. You're a lot different from me. You're a get up at 5:30 in the morning and go. I'm much more like Spain, dude. Get up at 10, go get a coffee and a croissant. You know, chill out, go to lunch around 2 or 3. Have a big meal, chill out, then go to dinner at 10, and then you know, go to flamenco dancing until 2 o'clock in the morning, or shows or whatever else you're doing. I mean, it's a very cool lifestyle. It's not very efficient. I mean, you certainly wouldn't want your your doctor having that sort of thing. I need to get an appointment. The doctor doesn't come in till 11. Then he leaves at 2 for 3 hours. Well,
nice.
And look, the stuff for the tourists is open all the time. I mean, that they don't. The idea that they shut down for siesta is kind of inaccurate. Maybe not all the shops, but trust me, tourists can get fed at noon. It's not a big deal.
Good, I'll need that.
The only thing I do recommend is not eating at the hotel. Go to find yourself a Panderia and get yourself a roll for breakfast and a cup of coffee, because like paying €19 for a cold breakfast.
I don't do the hotel food.
Well, congratulations to Fayette County. They just landed. The U.S. Soccer Federation is going to move their headquarters and training facility to Fayette County.
Very nice.
It's a big get. This is off of Georgia Virtue. It's talking about 400 plus jobs for Fayette County. And for people unfamiliar with Fayette County, and I compare Paulding County to Fayette a lot when they're talking about developing Paulding County. Fayette County has no interstate. You have 85 that runs down to Fayetteville, and then you have 74 that runs down to Peachtree City, and then you have 54 that goes across to Noonan from Peachtree City and Fayetteville. But these are all state roads. So all the stuff that we say in Paulding County, well, we don't have interstate, can't develop this, can't develop that. Fayette County keeps landing big hospital deals. They do have a general aviation airport, just like Paulding County does. And they were able to go out and recruit what seemingly is a very nice, very clean, and low traffic impact for the most part facility.
Yep, it's a big deal. That's about 30 minutes away from where I live. It's gonna be a huge deal for the area.
And I'm not a soccer fan at all. I mean, I barely raise an eyebrow when the World Cup comes on. The only thing I know with the World Cup is if I have folks from another country that work for me, that if their country's at like a noon game, just don't even expect them to come in. Like I had a crew had like 3 Mexican guys on it. Mexico's playing in the World Cup. I just went ahead and just take the day off. Like, oh, we'll be there at 10 tomorrow. No, you won't. No, you won't. You'll be watching the World Cup. No, just go ahead and take the day off. We'll schedule around it. But no, this is really, really, really cool for Fayette County, and good on their, I'm sure, Chamber of Commerce, good on their board of commissioners that went out and got it.
Yep, very good.
And Fayette County also has a big movie studio. They've landed all the stuff with not having an interstate. And in smaller counties like Paulding, we whine, piss, and moan about not having an interstate, and things keep falling flat. Our airport, well, actually, our airport's coming along now, but sued ourselves over the airport. About bankrupting ourselves, suing ourselves, trying to make a general aviation airport commercial. Now we've got Aviation Academy and a museum out there, and everything's going great. But it took just us beating our heads against the wall for so damn long to get to the point where, okay, now let's admit it's just a general aviation airport. Let's develop what we have out there. So that brings us to the end of 298. We are creeping towards 300. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do yet, but we're working on something. So for my partner in this endeavor, Ken Poland, for our awesome editor who's going to attempt to take this awful audio and turn it into something that you can listen to, Eric Cumby, I'm Dave Roberts. Have a great week.
Hope they won't shoot me down soon. Catch me howling at the moon.